母親に似て心の優しい君なのに。だが今日で最後だ。もう。
チャンネル登録していい。
Car D Kaizoku.
This video is sponsored by Card Market, Europe's largest online marketplace for trading card games. This video is sponsored by Sleeve Chief. There's a major restock coming for a lot of their popular sleeves, and they're going to be releasing a new Enel, Dawn sleeve, and Hollow sleeve as well. Use code CARDKaizoku for 5% off your order. All the leaders for OP09 have been revealed, so let's take a look at them and give our first impressions of them. So OP09 is going to be the 4 Emperors themed set, the current 4 Emperors. So that is Shanks, Luffy, Blackbeard, and Buggy. Spoilers if you're not caught up, but yeah, those are the current Yonko. So we're getting a lot of highly anticipated leaders in this set. OP09 actually comes out at the same time that OP05 came out a year prior. This is like the equivalent set, I think. OP05 like turbo power crept the game. Will OP09 do it? Well, let's take a look at the leaders here and potential cards that could go in their decks and existing synergies that we can already kind of prejudge the leaders on, and then make a conclusion for ourselves. And then we can tell if this set is going to be strong or not based off of that. But again, there's barely any cards revealed for 09. It's really just the leaders and like 6 or 7 cards, so we won't know the full power level of these leaders. But yeah, let's just do this as an exercise for fun and so that we can like just get hyped for these new cards early. So first off, we have Shanks. Shanks is a mono red leader, 5000 power, 5 starting life. He's a Yonko and red hair pirates type leader. And then his leader ability reads, once per turn, you may activate this effect when your opponent attacks. Give up to one of your opponent's leaders or characters minus 1000 power for this turn. Right off the bat, that doesn't sound too amazing, right? But usually monocolor leaders, their leader abilities aren't like super complicated. They're usually pretty simple. The one peculiar thing I want to note is that the part where it activates when your opponent attacks, that is an existing keyword actually. Like for example on Miss Wednesday from EV01, on opponent's attack, that blue keyword, that's a thing that exists. But for some reason it's not here on the Shanks card. It's only the once per turn part that is keyworded. I'm going to have to guess that's for a reason. There's some like specific synergy with the rest of the set that they'll print out in red in 09. That's what I can only hope. Because so far it doesn't look too amazing as a leader ability. You're able to make one attack 1k less power, so you get like 1k extra counter a turn, which would normally be a pretty strong effect if that extra counter like lasted for a turn, right? If it made him into a 6k base leader. Because leaders like Whitebeard, Red Purple Luffy, even Odin, when they're a 6k base power throughout your opponent's turn, it's like you have an extra 1k counter for every attack. This Shanks can only do it once, so yeah, a little underwhelmed just based off the leader ability and the card itself without the rest of the synergies in the set in red. But we'll have to hope that it's something like Rob Lucci, where like, yeah, Lucci only gives -1 cost as a leader ability when he attacks, which is a little low impact, but the fact that he mills 2 is actually really strong for the black identity, right? Because a lot of his cards play off the discard. Shanks doesn't really have anything additional on top of that. Because yeah, minus power is a red kind of effect, but it's on your opponent's turn. So it's not like you can do anything with that minus power. You can't like give a character minus power when they attack you and then like kill it with the KO effect or something that's based on power, right? Because it's during your opponent's turn. You can only react to it when your opponent attacks you. So maybe there's other red cards in this set that activate, that trigger when your opponent attacks, that checks like the current power at the time. If it meets some like power down threshold, you can kill it or something, or like you get some benefit from it. Because there are cards like this 8 cost Rayleigh from OP08 that give power down that persists for your opponent's turn, right? It gives -3k and -2k to something. So maybe this in conjunction with your leader ability plus some other red card that checks power when your opponent attacks, maybe that's some cool way that the new Shanks deck will play. And yeah, I hope it's like a Kalgara situation where everyone thinks the leader is kind of bad, but actually turns out to be quite strong. But to be honest, the more I look at him, like even with Kalgara, I could see the potential in it, and like I was kind of right? I could tell that Kalgara was strong just looking at how his deck played, but when I look at Shanks, I don't get that same feeling. So my gut feeling is that not too impressed. I think he's gonna suck, but would really like to be wrong because Shanks has never had a good leader. His only other leader is that the purple one, right? The film one. That one sucks too. Even though he's like one of the mysterious strongest characters in the universe. Next up we have Buggy. Buggy is finally a leader card. He's blue. I'm not sure if people were expecting that or not, because yeah, his character cards come in blue, red, and green. So it had to be one of those, I guess. Well, I guess not necessarily. That's not like a hard set rule. So Buggy is mono blue, 5000 power, 5 starting life. He's a cross guild leader. His leader ability reads, activate main, you may rest 5 Dawn, and then discard 1 card from your hand. And if you do this, you can play up to 1 character with a cross guild type from your hand. As of this recording, no cross guild characters exist in previous sets, and then they haven't revealed any in 09 yet. So we don't know what he cheats out. It really depends on what is printed in 09. And yeah, that means he'll only have 1 set of support too for now. So just based off of that, I'm gonna have to assume that the cross guild cards, the good ones, are more than 5 Dawn, or else like what are you paying 5 Dawn for? Right? You'd expect to get like a discount. And the fact that you have to discard a card too makes me think that it has to be something high cost to be worth it. Or else like why wouldn't you just normally just play out the 5 cost for 5 Dawn anyway? So yeah, if it's like resting 5 Dawn, discard a card to play 9 cost Mihawk for 5 Dawn, that seems like it's worth it, right? You get a 9k body out, you bottom deck something. But yeah, this Mihawk is currently not a cross guild type character, but I'm sure we'll see more Mihawk cards, we'll see more crocodile cards in this archetype. Yeah, and it would be nice if they were all boss monsters like that Mihawk to make this 5 Dawn -1 card from hand cost worth it. Otherwise, this leader ability really doesn't do much, and it doesn't do much for your first 1 or 2 turns either. So yeah, this one we'll just have to see. I remain hopeful though. Up next is Monkey D. Luffy, purple black leader dual color. And he's 5000 power, 4 life, and what his leader ability does is Dawn ×1, your characters have +1 cost. And then during your turn, once per turn, when 2 or more Dawn cards are returned to your Dawn deck from play, set up to 1 from your Dawn deck as active and up to 1 from your Dawn deck as rested. So whenever you return 2 or more Dawn, you get 2 Dawn back. So at the bare minimum, you're net 0. And technically you're like net 1, because that 1 Dawn comes back active, you can use it. Is this good though? I guess we'll take a look at the purple cards, but let's just look at the leader for now. So the Dawn ×1 part, making your characters cost 1 more, I guess that helps against the black mirrors, right? Because black decks KO based on cost. If you make your characters cost a little bit more, it messes up their thresholds. But then this like goes back into that like annoying thing about the game where like the counter to a color is another card in that color, right? The counter to black deck's KO effects is another black leader. This is always something that was weird to me, but I guess we'll have to get used to it at some point. And then one thing to note is that you don't need to attach Dawn to get access to that second part of your leader ability. Like anytime you return 2 Dawn on your turn, you can get 2 Dawn back. One thing I'm unsure of is if that -2 Dawn has to come from one effect, or if it can come from like an accumulation of Dawn minus effects on your turn. Like you play one character and Dawn -1, and then you play another character later and Dawn -1 in the same turn. Does it activate then? That might be something we'll have to wait for like a Q&A to answer, but I'm going to assume it's yes for now and judge this card based off of that. So let's take a look at some cards for the deck. So I'm just taking a look at anything that on main is like Dawn -2 to activate. So Top Knot is a strong card that you can play for free with this Luffy. It's 2 Dawn, Dawn -2 to bottom deck a 4 cost. And then yeah, you'll get a Dawn back as active actually. So this is an incredibly strong effect for 2 Dawn. There's also Character King, 7 cost King from 01. You can Dawn -2 and KO a 3 and a 2 cost. And then since we are also a black deck, we have access to cost reduction. So this King can actually hit pretty big numbers if we want it to combo. And yeah, we even get a Dawn back as active. I'm gonna not say that for every card from this point on. So just assume that there'll be 1 active Dawn you get back. And then there's Lion's Threat, Imperial Earthbind, 3 cost from starter deck 5, the film starter deck. This one KOs a 5 cost or less for 3 Dawn. That's pretty stat efficient. And then there's a Character Uta from 02, 8 costs, and then on play, Dawn -2, your leader and all your characters get plus 1000 power until the start of your next turn. To be honest, I think this card will still suck, even with the leader ability that kind of plays to the benefit of the effect. I guess on your 8 Dawn turn, you play Uta, buff your leader to 6, you get an active Dawn back, attack for 7. I don't know if that's a big enough play. If she did this like every turn, like if it was an activate main effect, where you Dawn -2 and buffed your board, that might be good, but yeah. Probably not going to see Uta come out of retirement. There's also Bullet, who does have an activate main effect that is Dawn minus. So Dawn minus 4, you can rest 2 characters with a cost of 6 or less, and then he gains double attack. Luffy's leader ability mix is actually Dawn minus 2, so a little bit of a discount, right? If you play Bullet on your 10 Dawn turn, you use this effect, you get 2 Dawn back, you're back to 10 next turn, so you're not down Dawn at all. There's also Kaido. Kaido's Dawn minus 5 becomes Dawn minus 3, technically. And then what he does is KO an opponent's character with the cost of 6 or less, and then it gains Rush. So you can like use that one active Dawn you get back to attach it to Kaido. Since he has Rush, he can attack for 11. If it's your 10 Dawn turn, you can attack for 12. This could like kill a opponent's ace, the Enel Dex ace, the 10 cost one, because it's like 12k into 10. I don't know, that's one thing that came to me at the top of my mind for some reason. And then I think the most synergistic card is this secret rare Luffy from 05, the 10 cost one, because what he does is Dawn minus 10 on play. You can return all characters on your board to the bottom of your deck, and then you get an extra turn after the end of your current turn. And then what makes him synergistic with this leader is that he has an activate main ability where once per turn, if you pay 1 Dawn, you could ramp 1 Dawn active. So yeah, on your 10 Dawn turn, you'll play this, you'll return 10 Dawn. Well, first you'll attack with everything you have on board because they're going to get bottom decked anyway. You play them, bottom deck everything, then all your Dawn gets returned, you'll get 2 back, 1 rested, 1 active, and then you use the character Luffy's effect to ramp 1 more active Dawn. So you're at 3 right now. You could use that active Dawn to attack with your leader too. And then you'll take your second turn, you'll ramp to 5, you can ramp again with this Luffy to go to 6. And yeah, you're at 6 Dawn, the next turn going to 8 and then 10 after that. So I like the way that sounds. So actually kind of hyped to play this leader. It seems kind of fun now that I'm going through the cards one by one. Definitely going to make a secret rare Luffy, purple black Luffy deck. And then of course, since he's also a black leader, he gets access to Asshole Moria, 8 cost Gecko Moria, unless they announce something on the 12th in regards to this card, right? Because there's a ban or like restricted list announcement coming out on August 12th. But for now, I'm just going to assume that Gecko Moria is not going to get banned, especially because they're going to like print an ultra art version of him in the premium booster. So yeah, Gecko Moria brings back a 4 cost and a 2 cost from your discard, 1 active and 1 rested. This is a strong card in every black deck, so why not in purple black Luffy? Now the only 2 other purple black leaders are Zed and King, and I don't think either of them, well no, Zed probably runs Gecko Moria, but there aren't any like meta Zed decks. But King, does King run them? I don't know, I haven't seen any King's top either. But let's look at the synergies with Gecko Moria and purple, what he can bring back as opposed to like the other colors that they don't have access to these cards. So there's Orabi, 4 cost. What she does is on play, if you have 8 or more Dawn, you can KO a 3 cost. And then yeah, again, since we're also a black deck, we have access to cost reduction. You could bring back like a Helmeppo for that second portion, the 2 cost portion, to KO a 6 cost with this Orabi. And she's a Straw Hat too, so it fits with the Luffy deck. There's also some searchers we could play, like Portia. Portia on play, Dawn minus 1. You can look at the top 5 cards of your deck for a Foxy Pirates type card added to your hand. Then you can play a 4000 power or lower purple character from your hand. So yeah, this is a way to both search and then cheat something out. And then I mentioned earlier where I'm not sure if like 2 separate Dawn minus effects can add up to 2 to activate your leader ability. But yeah, Portia does Dawn minus 1 if like a 2 cost card you play, but the second portion of Gecko Mori's effect also minuses Dawn. I'm gonna have to assume you get 2 Dawn back. So that is one way you could use Gecko Moria in a Luffy deck too. There's also this Zorojuro in the new starter deck that's coming out for purple Luffy. He's a 4-drop, so you can bring him back with Gecko Moria on play, look at the top 5 cards of your deck and reveal up to 1 purple Straw Hat type character. Add it to your hand. So yeah, just a purple Straw Hat searcher that is a 4-drop you can play with Gecko Moria. I like that. So all in all, I think this deck is in the running for what I'm most excited for. Next up we have Lakers Robin. It's Lakers because it's purple yellow. Those are the Lakers team colors, and Lakers are a basketball team based in Los Angeles. A lot of people live in Los Angeles, so there's a good chance that a lot of people in my audience are fans, right? If you grow up in LA, you're kind of forced to be a fan of the Lakers. So yeah, just some context, because I know some of my viewers are like not Americans or not even on the West Coast, so they don't know why it's called Lakers for like the Crocodile deck and then Robin. But yeah, it's purple yellow leader with 5000 power for starting life. What her leader ability does is she has banish. So yeah, another keyword leader like Yamato, who has double attack always. Robin always has banish when she attacks. And then when attacking, you can trash 1 card with a trigger from your hand. And when you do that, you ramp a Dawn rested. So banish is scary. Banish means that any damage that you do to your opponent, that card doesn't go to their hand. It goes directly into the trash. This means that it cancels out triggers and stuff like that. And this goes back to what I said earlier, right? Yellow depends on triggers. They print banish on a yellow leader to counter triggers. What's up with that, Bandai? But yeah, this does mean that like all of Robin's attacks at leaders will most likely get countered because they don't want to lose a card. In the early game, most decks like to take 1 or 2 life just to like fill up their hand and get options. But yeah, with Robin being able to deny that, she does burn a counter every time she attacks, at least at the minimum for 5k. So based off of that already, I think she's strong. The ramp part of her leader ability, honestly, I can't think of what she would want to ramp into that like synergizes with the banish part of her leader ability. But let's take a look at some cards that might synergize with a Robin deck, because she does sound like a pretty generic leader, right? It's not going to depend on any 09 Straw Hat particular characters. So first up, I think Gedatsu is going to be a strong pick for the deck. Again, since we have banish on our leader, every time we attack, your opponent's most likely going to counter. They'll always be at full life so that Gedatsu can get the most value out of his on play. Because on play, what he does is KO an opponent's character with cost equal to or less than their life. So yeah, since they're defending our 5k hits, you'll be able to KO a 5 or 4 cost always with this Gedatsu. On curve, at least. They'll have to take life eventually, but yeah, on curve, for sure, you'll get a lot of value out of Gedatsu. There's also 9 cost Yamato. I guess this is something you could ramp into when you discard a trigger when you attack. And similarly to Gedatsu, since your opponent will always be at high life to not give you value from your banishes, Yamato is able to KO a lot of things. Because what Yamato does is, on play, KO to one of your opponent's characters with a cost that is equal to or less than the total of your and your opponent's life added together. And then if you're at 1 life, you'll heal 1, but that's probably not as relevant in a Robin deck. Could be, right? It can save you at the end, but I think it's mostly good for the KO portion, at least. And then yeah, since we have to run trigger cards to ramp, we'll probably run the strong triggers like Kikunojo, who is a free trigger when your opponent's at 3 or less life. This might be a little hard because yeah, they'll be defending your leader hits every turn. But if you can get them to 3 at least, you'll get a free 6k body when they trigger out Kikunojo. And if you have Kikunojos in hand, they end up being dead cards. You can just use it to ramp with your leader ability. A little flexibility there. I was thinking maybe the playstyle of the deck would be just removing everything on board with events or like KO effects on characters, and then like pummeling your opponent with your leader ability attacks every turn that they have to like decide whether to counter and then go down in hand resources or take and then lose that card anyway. So Buzzcut Mochi is one such removal event. It's 2 costs. You can KO a 4 cost or less if your life is less than your opponent, which will most likely be the case because yeah, as I mentioned earlier, they'll be defending a lot to prevent your banishes. So you'll more often than likely be able to KO a 4 cost for 2 Dawn, which is really stat efficient. There's also Top Knot that we went over earlier, 2 Dawn, bottom deck of 4 cost. But you do have the Dawn -2, so this sets you back a turn of Dawn unless you ramp with your leader ability. Same with the Lion's Threat. And then Brachio Bomber, this is a 6 cost purple event that KOs a 6 cost and you ramp 1 Dawn active too. And then there's Ragnarok, Dawn -1, KO one of your opponent's cost 8 or less characters for 5 Dawn, and then yeah, you can ramp that Dawn back with your leader ability if you attack and discard a trigger. And then even Lightning Bolt is 2 Dawn to KO a 5 cost, but you do have to trash 1 card from your life to do it. So this is more like an emergency out. I think you want to depend on this card as a trigger, and then if it does happen to end up in your hand and you don't have the life to spare to use Thunderbolt, you could always use it to ramp. So I think there's flexibility in running 4 Thunderbolts in this kind of deck, right? If you get it as a trigger, great. If you have it in hand as a dead card, you could use it to ramp, so it's not really a dead card. Similarly, Onami does the same thing. Onami is a trigger, KOs a 5 cost, and then if you play her out, you already have banish, so you probably won't play her out, so she'll just be a 1k counter in hand. Or a ramp fodder, you can use it to ramp with, because you can discard her, she has trigger. Same thing with the Egghead Luffy. His trigger lets you KO a 4 cost or less, and then you can even play him out as a 5 cost 6k attacker, or keep him in hand as counter, and then discard him to ramp with your leader ability, or you can play him to KO a 4 cost this way. So this one is like one of the most flexible options. Same with the Nami from 08. Her trigger is you get to discard another card with trigger in your hand, you can KO a 5 cost. And if you have 3 or less life, you draw a card too. But yeah, you could just play her out as a 5k, keep her in hand to counter 1 or ramp with her too. So there's actually a lot more options for the Robin deck than I initially thought. It's a lot more fleshed out than I thought. I really just think that they need like a boss monster target to ramp to that plays with their banish. Maybe you don't even need something that plays with the banish. You just ramp to like a 9 drop or a 10 drop that you can play. Yeah, actually I just thought of another one. This 9 cost Charlotte Linlin. from 08 is a perfect card for this deck. It's on play, Dawn -1, trash a card from your hand. You can add one card from the top of your deck to the top of your life. Then you can place one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 6 or less on the top or bottom of their owner's life area face up. And then she's a 9k attacker too. So yeah, 9 cost for this. You'll bounce their 6 cost back to their life, and then you'll attack them. If they happen to take that life, it gets banished, so it's like you KO'd it in a way. And then you do heal too. So actually, yeah, I think this card will be great in a Robin deck. Might be one of the better things to ramp into. So Robin's pretty interesting too. Okay, my two favorite decks right now are Robin and Luffy. And it's not because they're Straw Hats. And it's not because it's Robin, but mostly because it's Robin. One of my most anticipated leaders. So far, 09 looking pretty nice. Let's take a look at the next leader. We have Lim from the One Piece Odyssey game. I didn't play this game, so I have no idea who this is. Green-purple, dual-color leader with 5,000 power, 4 starting life. Let's see. Your characters enter play as rested. Activate main once per turn. You may rest 3 of your Dawn. Set up to 1 Dawn from your Dawn deck as rested. Then play a 5 cost or lower Odyssey type character from your hand. Okay, so it's similar to the Buggy leader, where you're paying X amount of Dawn to cheat out a character. But this one is restricted on cost. It's 3 Dawn for 5 or less, so 5 is the upper limit. And then characters come to play rested. I don't know how I feel about that. Usually green's about resting your opponent's characters, but this one is like rest your own characters. But yeah, you're getting like a 2 Dawn discount for your leader ability. And you're ramping a Dawn too. I guess we'll have to look at the characters in this set. And then there are a couple we can take a look at right now. So maybe our opinions of this will change after we look at the characters. So there's a 2-cost Limb blocker. End of your turn, if you have 2 or more Odyssey type rested characters, set this character as active. Okay. So on her own, she's a blocker that comes in to play rested because of your leader ability. And she has 0 power, so that sounds like it sucks. If you do happen to have 2 or more rested characters that are Odyssey type specifically, then she can become a blocker. This sounds pretty bad, right? Worst case, she's the worst card ever. Best case, she's a 2-cost blocker that you can just run any other 2-cost blocker. Oh, but I guess if you run another one, it'll come into play rested. I don't know, it doesn't seem worth it. And you have to run Odyssey type characters only. There's also Adio. 4-cost, 5k power. If you have 2 or more Odyssey type rested characters, this character gains plus 1000 power. Oh, it's a 2k counter. Okay, that changes things a little bit. So you'll obviously run them in a Limb deck. And then at worst, he's a workable body. At best, he's a vanilla. So yeah, I guess can't complain. Is it easy to get 2 or more rested Odyssey type characters out? Because yeah, with your leader ability, you can play it for 3 and then you have to hard cast the other one. They'll come into play rested. Then on your following turn, you have to like attack with them so they remain rested. And then that's if they survive your opponent's removal and stuff. I don't know. Not too impressed so far. Let's take a look at Monkey D. Luffy. 5 cost, 6k power. Odyssey Supernova Straw Hat A. Okay, on play, if you have 2 or more rested characters, choose up to one of your opponent's cost 6 or lower characters or up to one of your opponent's Dawn and rest it. He rests a 6 cost or even Dawn, but you have to have 2 or more rested characters. Wouldn't I just want to play that Yamato from like, what was it, OP02? Right? That Yamato can rest a 6 cost too. Here, let me bring it up. This one here. Right, on play, rest up to one of your opponent's characters with the cost of 6 or less. I don't know if that Dawn, the extra Dawn effect portion where you can rest a Dawn is relevant or not, but I guess yeah, in the Bonnie matchup it might be, but I don't know. If you're just concerned about 6 costs, this Yamato does the same thing and has a better stat line too, just no counter. And lastly, we have another Audio, 9 cost, so it's a boss monster for the deck. At least Lim has a boss monster, Kalgara doesn't really have one. Okay, if your leader has the Odyssey type, set up to 3 of your Dawn is active. When opponents attacking once per turn, you may rest one of your Dawn up to one of your leaders or characters that's plus 2000 power for the battle. Okay, so Audio makes your leader ability free, right? So for 9 Dawn, you can play this Audio and then get 3 Dawn back to play a 5 cost, which could be like this Luffy or the other Audio. But yeah, both of them will come out rested. And then when your opponent attacks, you get a free 2k counter for 1 Dawn. I mean, that part's not too bad, right? So for 10 Dawn, you can play this Audio and then leader ability to cheat something out. And then you'll have that 1 Dawn left over to counter for 2 if you need it. I guess that doesn't sound too bad, but I don't know. It's not like high impact right away either. But he is 9 cost, so he's hard to remove. I don't know, because yeah, you need that other card in hand to cheat out too. If he like played it out from your discard or something, that'd be pretty sweet. But maybe I'm just too like polluted by 8 cost Kekomoriya's value. Because at the end of the day, both of these cards have to come from your hand, and then they're both going to come out rested. So, I don't know. kind of iffy on Lim, to be honest. And then, of course, Blackbeard, we made a whole video on him, a whole separate video talking about how his deck could work and how he would affect the meta. So you can watch that video to see my thoughts on him. But just for the sake of this video, I'll go over it really quickly. So what he does is your own on-play abilities don't activate. Oh, he's a mono black leader, by the way, 5 life. And then what he does is activate main. You can trash a card from your hand, and then until the end of your opponent's next turn, your opponent can't play or can't activate on-play abilities. They can still play the cards, they just don't do anything. So yeah, just completely locks out a mechanic. Honestly, I think it's a very strong effect. And then the price of discarding a card from hand, that isn't too steep. I think it's well worth it. And he like shuts down a lot of popular decks at the moment. Lucci just completely gets shut down because all of his strong KO effects are on play. Red Purple Law loses out on a lot of his card draw, and then like yellow, like Enel especially, all of his top end can't heal him, so he can't like survive. But yeah, but also on top of that, they also revealed some Blackbeard characters for 09, so let's take a look at them, see if that changes our opinion on the deck. So there's Van Augur, 5 cost 6k power, and he has an activate main effect, which is perfect. That's what we want for this deck. So you may rest this character. If your leader has the Blackbeard Pirates type, give it to one of your opponent's characters -3 cost for this turn, and then when he dies, you draw a card. I guess that makes him flexible, right? He's a 6k power attacker when you need him, and then if not, he's cost reduction, -3 cost. And yeah, like I mentioned, I think activate main and resting the character is a pretty fair trade-off for a like reusable effect like that. So I'm glad that they're going down that route that I suggested in my video. Yeah, I guess he's alright. Utility card. Then there's Jesus Burgess, 4 cost 5k power, and then this character cannot be killed by your opponent's effects. Ooh! Okay, just based off of that, I like this guy already. And then if your leader has the Blackbeard Pirates type, this character gets plus 1000 power for every 4 cards in your trash. Okay, so it's only a positive there. The fact that he can't be KO'd, I like already, because that's why like Borsalino is strong, that's why Sabo is strong. He already kind of shuts down the Lucci deck from leader ability, Blackbeard's leader ability, so I don't know. I guess if you only have Jesus out, you don't need to discard a card from your hand for the turn to prevent like a KO effect, because yeah, Jesus can't be KO'd anyway. Save you a card in hand. And I'm gonna assume there's a way to get a lot of cards in your trash for his like second part of his effect to give him a lot of power. Because even with just 4 cards in your trash, he's a vanilla stat line, so I think that's pretty good, right? It's not too hard. You're discarding a card every turn anyway from your hand though, so yeah, I like this guy. Just what the deck needs. Then there's Lafitte. Lafitte is a 1 cost 1k power, so he must have some strong effect, right? To activate main, you can rest this character and one of your Dawn. Okay. Now look at the top 5 cards of your deck. Okay, he's just a tap searcher like Bonnie and Baby 5. Looks for a Blackbeard Pirates type character. So yeah, that kind of searcher is perfect for this deck because he can't run the on-play one, so that's to be expected. So nothing too like shocking. These are standard things that we'd expect. It makes the deck have like a playable engine at least. It just depends on like the crazy top end, how this deck's gonna perform. There's existing cards that'll be great for this deck too, like Manshari. Manshari is 1 cost 0k power. Activate main, pay 1 Dawn, you can rest this character, and then you can return 2 cards from your trash to the bottom of your deck, and then you can bring back a 3 to 5 cost black character from your trash to your hand. Essentially like drawing you a card, if you think about it. 2 Dawn to draw a card. If you keep her alive, you can draw you a card every turn. This helps you with like discarding too for your leader ability. And then there's of course Jack, 7 cost 8k power, and then what he does is activate main. If you rest a card, you can draw one and trash one from your hand and then KO one of your opponent's 3 cost or lower characters. So this is a KO outlet that you have access to that is not on play, and it comes with an 8k body, so if you need to use them to attack, you can easily switch gears and attack with them instead. And he's an 11 cost on board, 7 cost in your hand, but yeah, that first part of his ability makes him an 11 cost, so he's really hard to KO for your opponent as well. So Blackbeard also looking to be a pretty strong deck. And I think that pretty much covers it. So those are my thoughts on the new leaders coming in OP09. Which decks am I most excited for? Well, Purple Black Luffy, Purple Yellow Robin, and then Blackbeard. Decks that I am unsure of is Buggy, because we need to know what is actually playable in his deck. And then the 2 that I'm most disappointed in is, of course, Lim and Shanks. Shanks' leader ability, I don't know. It's like they're afraid to make red good. Like, red for the past 3 to 4 sets now has just been like a support color for Red Purple Law, right? Red Purple Law is essentially a purple deck that runs Kid and Killer and Power Down from Gordon. But other than that, yeah, Red's just been in the dumpster for a very long time now. It's like they're allergic to making playable Red decks anymore. I don't know. Just kind of weird to me. Right, the other colors have been power crept to a point where I think Red can be good again. Please. Let Red shine. And then Lim just doesn't seem to generate enough value. But yeah, again, we'll have to see the other Odyssey cards because you'll probably be only running Odyssey type characters in the deck anyway. So it might be like a Buggy situation where we have to wait for more. Is that every leader? Am I missing one? No, I think that's it. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of the new 09 leaders. And if I missed any like important synergies that you think I should know about, let me know in the comments below. I read them all. Let me know if you're excited for 09. And yeah, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you're not already. Would appreciate it. I've gotten some comments that people just like listening to my videos on their like drives to work. So I'll try to do more of these like just talking kind of videos just to keep you company on your drive. Keep your eyes on the road. And yeah, bye.
Car D Kaizoku.